Welcome to the Dastardly Dingoes podcast, a show that celebrates all things nerdy. You'll get an insider's look into the world of comic books, graphic novels, TV and film, gaming and pop culture, as well as the technologies that drive all of it. Now, are you ready to get nerdy? Welcome to the Dastardly Dingoes podcast, the show about all things nerdy. We discuss nerd news, movies, TV shows, games, comics, and so much more. I'm Brian.
I'm Robert Pattinson.
I'm Jeremy Woodring.
I'm Damien.
Embrace yourselves, folks, because we're about to get nerdy. Before we jump into the nerdy action, I would love, and it is my grand pleasure, to be a part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Where those hands? Where are my Vanna Whites? Or creepy neighbors? Whatever you're doing there, Chad. This beautiful, wonderful network is full of shows that are dynamic, and they talk about wonderful things like comics, watches, the comic book industry, just inspiring stories that will tickle your fancy. And also, we have a drinking show. I mean, who doesn't like drinking shows, right? So tune into the Rising Tide Broadcast Network Sunday through Saturday evening, and let us join you for your viewing pleasure. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, all right, thank you. I appreciate that. Before we jump into the comments section, I would like to say, I know, right? It's not like I have an outline written out in front of me or anything. I do have to say we're only going to be on for an hour tonight because we got a couple things we all have to take care of after the show. But it's going to be a good show. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'm just saying, yeah, we're going to get lots of drugs, lots of cocaine, especially with Chad. Chad's got his kids just like, he's got a sweatshop going in his kitchen right now, just chopping up all that cocaine. And, wow. And yeah, this
did not know that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's how I make a living.
Small hands. Oh gosh. Okay. So I'm going to go around the screen here really quick, and everyone tell us why you are so great and why we should follow you and where we can follow you and your works.
Well, you just have to look at my wall of humility behind me. Just kidding. No,
just lean into it.
Yeah. Caress it with your face. Go ahead.
Oh, yes. So I am the creator of The Silence, and you can find all of my stuff on social media, on Facebook and Instagram, and also thesilencecomics.com.
Fantastic. Jeremy Bagwood.
Oh,
nice. Hey, what's up?
Some gurgling happened there, I think.
I didn't know you were coming to me. I was looking at my iPad. Sorry. Yeah, my name's Jeremy. I make videos for the internet down in my basement.
What's your website there, Jeremy?
It's thesilencecomics.com.
Whatever. All right, Damien, go for it.
Hi, everybody. My name's Damien Wellbred. I'm the creator of Realmer X, and also I make toys with My O Toys brand. While I have your attention, scan that right now. You'll go to my website, ruomniversal.com.
Do it.
Do it now.
Do it now. Get to the chopper.
Yeah, 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And I'm Brian. Hello, everyone. How are you? I like long moonlit walks on the beach, nice Chianti, and some fava beans. You can find me and all of my works at brianrobin.com. I've got a fun set of comics. I'm on this show. I'm on a show on Thursday nights on the Rising Tide Broadcast Network called Comic Book Spectrum with some cool cats to talk about comics. I'm also on Patreon. I'm doing a comic with my nieces. It's a lot of fun. It's called The Princess Warriors. Go to check it out. And all those links are available at brianrobin.com. And that is enough from me. So let's jump in to the comments section very quick. Ted Davies is the first one here today. He is the winner of all the king of the Dingoes show today. And Carl says first to comment, and he lied. But Donna's been in here for 90 minutes. Oh, snap, Ted.
We're gonna have to have like prizes for the people who
I think
sit
we
in our
should.
comment section for the
I
longest
do
period
have.
of time.
I'm just saying. I do have 2 extra copies of the hardback blessing that is the Silence comic number 2,
Uh-oh.
just sitting there. So
Uh-oh.
we could, if we get this man's blessing, we could give one away
Absolutely.
starting next week. We'll talk about
Do it.
that.
Do
We'll
it.
make an announcement. We have Donna saying,
Do
"Yeah,
it.
yeah. I just don't need to put it in the first. I just don't need to put it in the first word, especially when I'm busy watching naked Channing Tatum." All right, Chad.
Uh-oh.
Chad understands.
Yes.
Donna Carlene then says, "Hello, Ted." Carl says, "We haven't watched the last 2 or 3 Batman movies, so I'm interested if this one is good or not. I saw parts of a few of them and was not impressed." Well, stay tuned, sir. We're about to tell you what we thought of it, at least. And Donna says, "Hi, guys." Hello. Carl says, "Good evening." Ted says, "Strippers and blow." That
Yes.
is Eric and
Absolutely.
Chad's choice of
Yes.
of a good party, and apparently Chad's children. Someone call the police.
That's what
Good
happens
grief.
before the
That's
show.
post-con recovery. This
Yeah.
is strippers and
Carl
I don't
says,
need
"Seeing
recovery."
Luna working there, there in the background." Yes. Oh, walking there in the working in the back. Are you working?
Yeah.
Where are you? She's in the shadows now. I don't know where she
Shake
is. Yeah. So, folks, this past weekend, a movie came out, and the dingoes rounded up
That's right.
and showed up at the movie theater to watch said movie. And that movie was called The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz and
Batman.
a slew of other people. And of course, I mean, my goodness, Jeremy, I do have to ask you, sir, did you like it, Jeremy? Did you like it? Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. You loved that, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
All
it.
right. So now we're going to transition
That's perfect.
into the topic
That
of
was
our
good.
show.
Like
Thank
a
you.
Batman.
Yes. I
transition.
know, right? You see what we did there?
I did.
So just to get the question started off, first of all, go around the room. We'll start with you, Jeremy. What is your ranking? What is your ranking of all of the Batman movies?
4.
All of them? They're all 4s.
I didn't know if you wanted me to give like a 2 thumbs up ranking.
No, like
or
in
like,
order,
what's your
right?
In
favorite?
order.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
like
in order.
your
Yeah.
like The Dark Knight's the first, whatever. Like that order.
So, I mean, I think that's really hard. Because they're different things. I love the Nolan Batman movies because those were really the first comic book movies that I got invested in. And it was because I was working at a movie theater when the first one came out. So I was super excited about being able to watch it before everyone else did. And I think that just kind of fueled my interest in that series. Also, I love Christopher Nolan. He's definitely my favorite film director and producer, whatever you want to call it. But so I loved those. I loved the color palette that he used. Things were muted and dark. Yeah. Especially a contrast with like the Schumacher Batman.
All the Batman.
It was just his are funny or were funny when they came out, but it was like the Star Wars trilogy, the prequels.
Yeah,
I remember going to see those in the movie and thinking, this is the greatest thing that I've ever seen in my whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
As a kid, I didn't walk out of there thinking this is just ludicrous.
Yeah, I loved Batman Forever when I was a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved that movie so much. Yeah.
So, I think the Nolan Batman trilogy was something that we desperately needed as kind of like a contrast to that. But I will say this one is definitely number 1 for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because it takes a lot of the look of a Nolan Batman. But I heard somebody say that it's essentially the movie Seven, but just with superheroes.
Yeah.
And if I had to rank directors, David Fincher would be number 2 to Christopher Nolan. So it was more a detective story, and I think that put it at the top for me. It was more than just superhero, and I liked that. So it's definitely at the top. Christopher Nolan trilogy, everything else. And that I only say that because I know that there are going to be some people that hate that I did not even really talk about the animated Batman.
We're just talking about live action right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
I
not
haven't
even
seen any of those.
because
and that's why.
Because this is why, like,
those.
for me, Kevin Conroy is the best Batman, like across the board when it comes to like the voice of Batman. Like his voice is the voice I hear when I read the comics. Like, so like to me that means that he's the best in my opinion. But live action, he can't be in that category. I mean, technically I guess he can. He was in the very
Can you just? I just can't picture him in like a Batman suit.
he was in the crossover CW.
Was he in the
show.
suit?
No, he was in kind of like a makeshift Kingdom Come Batman suit.
Okay.
And it was a little silly looking. But I mean, you know,
good old Kevin Corduroys.
Kevin Corduroys. So Jeremy, would you say then that this movie was necessary?
Yeah.
In lieu of all of the other Batman movies that we've had, because a lot of people are saying, why are we doing another Batman movie?
Because it's different. I mean, you saw a little bit of Detective Batman in the Nolan trilogies.
Yeah.
But I think Detective Batman is an important part of the story that until now we hadn't really gotten into. And I think that the way that they told it was outstanding. So yeah, I think it's definitely necessary. I don't think I will ever watch a superhero movie, even though I'm much more of a Marvel fan than I'm a DC fan. I don't know that I would ever watch any superhero movie and think this is unnecessary, because they're always there. I just enjoy them so much. Like, it's really hard for me to walk out of a superhero movie and be like, that was stupid, that sucked. Right. It's the silver screen, you know. It's that experience of going and seeing all of these big, huge, larger than life things. I'm never going to be disappointed on the first watch. Now, watching it a couple more times is like, okay, I see where you have a problem with that. But when I go in there the first time, I'm not looking for plot holes. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not that big of a deal for me. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, Damien, what about you? How do you rank? Let's just do the your top 5 Batman movies. We'll do it that way, because there's a lot of Batman.
You sure you want those?
It's Batman's.
Oh no! This is an interesting and rare occasion, folks. We have an anti-Batman guy.
I'm not
on the panel.
Batman. I want the right Batman. I want the detective. I want the superhero. I want the. If you even look at the comics, the way he's treated, depending on the series he's in, is different.
Yeah.
And I wanted something on the screen that's going to sort of unify that process, or at least let us see that process.
Yeah.
And I can't say 5. My number 2.
I don't even like 5 Batman movies.
I have my favorite, and then everything else sucks.
Yeah.
League and Justice League and Batman Superman count, because that would be 5 and 4. 3 is one we're not going to discuss because it's not live action. 2 as well. No. Scratch that. 2 is Batman 89.
Yeah,
I was there.
I was about to say, how do you not like Michael Keaton's Batman?
I don't really know how old everyone is, but I think I'm probably the oldest person here. So I saw it all go down. I was there in the theater.
What are you? What are you? 55?
9 million. Methuselah.
Okay.
9 million?
Yeah,
Even
you
Whoa.
birthed Noah. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wept
okay.
the flood.
Yeah.
Rain. But this is, as far as Batman movies go, this is my top Batman movie. This is really,
wow.
I think that marks it that were never hit before. I think story elements were brought into play that were never touched on before.
Yeah.
And as a Marvel fan, I want to see the sequel. I haven't been this excited to see a sequel for a movie since Batman '89. To see to get Batman Returns.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I can't remember a DC movie that I walked out of immediately like, what are they going to do for the next one?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I bet what they could do this, or like I loved how they did this. I want to see more. Like,
I was that way with The Dark Knight immediately.
Yeah.
I walked out. I was like, "What's the next one gonna be like?" And it was okay.
I appreciate them for what they were, and I don't think you could have gotten to this movie without those movies.
Yeah.
I think they were integral to this process that they're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is my top.
Wow. All right. Chad, what about you?
Man, I'm surprised in both you guys
I am
said,
too. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's hard for me to give like a rating. I'm with Jeremy because each one's a bit different and they have a different significance. So like the '89 Batman, I always have a special place in my heart for that one because I saw that in the theater just like Damien. Like there's something I love about that movie. However, cinematically, the Nolan Batman, I mean, I love those Batmans. Batman versus Superman for me is pretty high up there. I know a lot of people didn't like that movie, but I really like that movie. And then this one's really good. I wrestle with this one because there are some things that I really didn't like about it, and then there's a lot that I really did like about it. And we'll get into that here in a minute. I almost want to say if the other ones weren't made, this would be my number one, just because.
If there were no other Batman movies, this would be my
I'm
favorite
just thinking
Batman
like because they all have it. They focus on a different thing, like Damien was saying. Like this one's more the detective, whereas the Batman vs Superman was more focused on Bruce Wayne. Where the Nolan ones, it seemed like more of a total package, but more, I don't know. Like, so I wasn't, honestly, this is going to be sacrilegious. I don't think Keaton was the best Batman, me personally.
That's okay.
But
it's all right. It's okay.
He didn't
Nobody likes you anyway.
Val Kilmer.
Yeah. I don't even want to get
Wait, what did you just say?
I said it was Val Kilmer. That's the best one.
All the other Batman sucked. So I feel like Ben Affleck was the best Batman as far as like Bruce Wayne and just the look. Like he just had the look to him. Whereas
Ben Affleck is Bruce Wayne. Like
Michael Keaton is too much of a every man. Whereas
he's
Batman
a blue collar Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne has to be like, it has to be really handsome, really like strong. Like he's got to be that.
Those vests, man.
Yeah, man.
That did it. It made it feel like. You know what I'm saying though? Like every scene that he wasn't in the Batman suit, he was in a vest and was like, you're a billionaire. That makes sense.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I this one, I like this one. I'm hesitant to say it's my number one, but I would put it up there. Like it would be in a tie, I think, with the other ones. It really is. It really is good. There's some things that would not make me put it over the top, but as far as like the cinematography and the storytelling, I love that it was dark. I was so thankful for that. We'll get into this, like I said, but the bad guys were really dark and bad. They weren't like funny. Like, it just was good. Like they were psychotic, I guess you could say. Whereas like Bane, he's just a strong guy. You don't want to mess with him. Joker was psychotic, but he wasn't like this. Like this was like truly psychotic, I thought, in my mind. So I don't know if he's better than Heath Ledger's Joker.
He's definitely in the realm of Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah, I would definitely put him up there for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So
I would say so. I have to caveat this a little bit because if it were up to me, I agree with Chad. I think best comic to screen Batman is Ben Affleck. Especially you look at Frank Miller's Batman from The Dark Knight Returns. I mean, it's the same. Like looks. I mean, he's not as old as he is in The Dark Knight Returns, but he played Batman to a T. The anger, the rage that is in that character in Batman versus Superman is so well done. And I feel like I can't include Zack Snyder's Justice League because it's not a Batman movie. It is a movie with Batman in it.
Yeah.
Now, Batman versus Superman, you could argue that that's a Batman movie. I could give that to you. But you know, just if we were including those, they would both be above this film for me. I like Batman. I like Ben Affleck's Batman very much, especially in Zack Snyder's Justice League. I thought in that movie, you saw the character arc from the beginning of BVS all the way to the end of Justice League, and he rocked it. I mean, it's such a good job telling the story of how an angry, bitter person turns into a hero. Or turns back into a hero, actually.
And my favorite part about those stories was him. We've never seen him face somebody that could easily kill him, unless he used his brain.
Right.
You know, it's Riddler and it's Tommy Lee Jones. Like, come on. You know, like it's gonna frustrate him, but he's not gonna die. But then it's Superman trying to kill you.
Yeah.
And then you see like that scene with the steel Batman helmet with the eyes, you know, glowing, and him with the different like kryptonite like grenades and things like that. Like you really saw he had to engineer this or else like he was gonna die.
Yeah.
And
you saw Bruce
that.
And you saw Bruce Wayne almost kind of go into mad scientist realms. And it was a really cool take on the character. I love those stories so much. However, those aside, I would say The Dark Knight is still number one for me. Because and I'll get to like the various things because I compare this and The Dark Knight are almost neck and neck. As of right now, I've only seen the Batman one time. But as of right now, I have to still give it to The Dark Knight because of how blown away I was by that movie. It wasn't just Heath Ledger's performance, even though I have said this and I'll say it here. Heath Ledger didn't carry the movie by any means, but if you take Heath Ledger's performance out of that movie, it is nowhere near as good. And
I would put it under the Schumacher Batmans.
I don't think it's that bad, but because I think everybody else did a really good job in the movie. It's a very complex story. You do get a little glimpse of the Detective Batman in The Dark Knight. I love the Gordon. I love Gordon and Batman's relationship the most out of every movie that's been made, even including this new one. I love their relationship the most in The Dark Knight. It means more. There has a lot more sentimental weight to it. Gordon was the one who really, you know, got to Bruce first when he was a kid. You saw that bond and then them working together. I loved that movie. Right under it is this movie. This movie and I almost don't even want to call it a superhero movie. It is very much a thriller. It's a suspense thriller with Batman in it. It's Seven. It's Seven with Batman.
Yeah.
And really, I mean, do you agree? Yeah.
What?
Okay. And Luna, she agreed.
No, I was saying like she was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, she's like, "I don't know, feed me." But I would say like this movie is definitely second. Third is Batman '89. I love love Michael Keaton as Batman. I that was the first Batman I ever saw. So there's a lot. I know that's a huge deal with it. Still, my favorite Batman, who like the actor who played him though, is definitely Keaton is my favorite. Ben Affleck is I think did the best. And then I'm gonna hot take. I think the best Bruce Wayne was George Clooney.
I could see that.
He was the best Bruce Wayne. He was the worst Batman. Now I would say, okay, he was the worst Batman following Keaton. He wasn't a bad Batman following Adam West. He was kind of on par with Adam West as Batman.
Yeah, I always see those as like sequels to the 60s TV show.
Yeah. Well, actually,
the same.
And in that regard, I would say Val Kilmer's the worst Batman. Val Kilmer's absolutely the worst Bruce Wayne because the man had no emotions throughout the entire movie.
Right.
And he could act. He was Doc Holliday. Come on, man. Like he just kind of stood there and said his lines. And I'm like, now when I was a kid, I didn't care. I was like, it's Batman. I don't all things are wonderful.
Yeah.
But I would say that's my ranking. If I could include the Zack Snyder movies, those would be above everything else because I love them. Damien, watch it. Watch
what? What is it?
He hasn't seen Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, that's dumb.
That is dumb.
Why?
Thank you.
Why is that?
Because it's amazing.
It is awesome.
It's so good.
Try to catch it. I'll try to catch it.
You have to watch the director's cut.
Oh, yeah, don't even. Oh no, don't. No, I'm not talking about.
One.
I'm not talking about the theatrical cut. That was garbage. It was an insult to any intelligent human being.
Snyder cut.
The Snyder cut is the one that's on HBO.
It wasn't bad. It is my top 5. I count that as a Batman movie. It is in my top 5.
Wait, what?
The theatrical cut?
Yeah, well, it's the only one I've seen.
Oh, please.
I no longer care about your opinion. All right.
Eject him from the show.
Mute him.
Oh, that is terrible.
I love all superhero movies, and after I watched that, I was like, what just happened?
I was 20 minutes into that movie, pissed. Oh, I was so mad when they did the third.
It's a good movie, but I liked it. There are bad movies that I like. I'm a Mystery Science Theater fan, man. Sorry.
Well, okay, if it's a Mystery Science, if you had like us heckling the movie the whole time, then that would be hilarious.
Saying I like bad movies sometimes. Sometimes a bad movie is good.
Like the Fast and Furious movies.
Oh,
yeah.
Family.
It doesn't matter how many they make. 10 is coming out soon, and I'm like, yes, let's just do it. The Expendables, come on. They're not great, but I love them.
But see, those are also different. Like those types of films, like they're almost like if Joel Schumacher continued doing Batman movies,
yeah,
that would be in the same category as Fast and the Furious.
I just
over the top, ridiculous. You're in it because this is a fun ride. And that's it. You're not in there. Nobody's winning Oscars. Nobody's having feelings during this other than pure adrenaline.
Yeah.
Like that's the only reason you're going to see those movies.
That's
fine. It's totally fine.
The 9th one a couple of days ago. I kid you not. They put a freaking car onto a plane. Well, the car also had a jet engine on it.
Of course.
They strapped it to a plane.
Yeah.
Flew really high. Pulled the ejection button on the car. Engaged the rocket and it flew to freaking space.
Wouldn't it though? I mean,
yeah,
F science. You know what I mean?
What's the problem?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I love that.
It was.
I do too because it's Fast and the Furious. Like nobody's
so
expecting reality when they watch Fast and the Furious. You know
you're expecting reality with Justice League.
I'm expecting better dialogue than what we got in the theatrical version. I'm expecting a better story. Fast and the Furious,
real kryptonite.
Fast and the Furious is 10 times better than that crap that we got from Justice League. I would put up any Fast and the Furious movie above the theatrical cut of Justice League.
Drift.
Even Tokyo Drift.
That's bad.
Yeah. I loved Tokyo Drift when I came out of that theater. I was like, that was fun. I came out of the theater of Justice League and I felt dumber.
All right, we got to move on. You're gonna blow again.
Whatever. All right.
He's gonna have an asthma attack.
The second question we have. So how would you? So we've already answered. Since everybody pretty much agreed, how would you describe this movie as Seven with Batman?
Yeah, but let me say one thing to that. Can I add one thing to it?
No.
I would say this movie is like watching a graphic novel. Like when I watched this, it was like I was flipping the pages of a graphic novel. Like the Hulk tried to do that. If you remember Ed Norton's Hulk, where it had, like,
that was so bad.
Pages would come in and stuff. But this had the feel.
I did not enjoy that.
The feel of like Hush or like one of those graphic novels that like just the camera angles and the way they did things, the coloring and all that. It was like the movie version of a graphic novel. That's the way I would describe it.
The color scheme of the movie reminds me of Batman Year One, the comic.
Yeah. I
got a lot of vibes from that. For sure. So we'll start with you, Chad, on the next one. No spoilers. This is a spoiler-free zone.
It's gonna be
what were your favorite parts of the movie, Chadwick?
Okay. I won't probably mention the like specific parts, but I would say my favorite thing about the movie would be the Riddler. I thought was an amazing character. The way it was played, just the psychology behind him, even the riddles. Like I remember Jeremy, I think in the movie you were like, "Oh, that was clever." Like like the way they did the riddles, like man, that was really good the way they did that. It just was so like dark and psychotic, which you would expect, and genius. That's what you would expect of a good bad guy, like super smart and super evil at the same time. And as soon as you think that they've been defeated, they are already in control, and there's a twist, and then it worked out the way they did. That's how I felt about that character. I thought that was the perfect the way they did it. Yeah.
I love that. I agree with you. The fact that the riddles like carry over too. Yeah. Like there's more to it than just the scene where they're reading the riddles and they figure stuff out. It carries over to other things, to other scenes. And I loved how they like connected the dots and stuff. That was a great. I loved how they did the riddles.
Yep.
So is that all you got? You got anything else?
Yeah, that's all I want to say. It's just that he was my favorite part of the whole movie, was his character.
All right, cool. Damien, what about you?
They built a world and they stayed in it. There was nothing that glaringly pulled you out. Throughout. Yeah. Just color palettes, tone, even as things shift, from low action to high action, you felt like you were part of a world, like you were in there living this out with these characters. And to me, that's something you can easily get away from in a superhero movie, because sometimes you have to focus on the character development. If you're looking for sequels or its inclusion in, the scheme of 20 other movies or whatever, this was really its own world and kept you there and made you want to be there to see more.
Yeah. For sure. Jeremy agrees. Absolutely. He does.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Jeremy, what about you, sir?
There's a YouTube channel, I think it's called Every Frame a Picture, and they talk about movies that really try to do that, where every scene looks like it was supposed to be that way, and not just a product of, well, we need him to walk down some stairs, so here are some stairs, and we have a camera, we'll just point it at him so he can walk down the stairs. Like, everything was so intentionally done. One picture that I have in my head, he's riding his motorcycle into the Bat Cave area. and the way that they had like pillars like blocking the view as he was kind of like pulling
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
It was so pretty. Like it was so pretty. And then, you know, you see like the subway car pass on the other side. Then it makes you kind of think like, was that previous shot like from the perspective of a subway on the other side? You know, like if you've ever been in the New York subways, like it goes on, you know, forever. There's like 3 this way and 3 this way. And so seeing that, you know, it made me think like, what if people can see? Like, what if the people on the subway are just seeing this and they have no idea what it actually is? They just see that, oh, that's weird. This guy's riding a motorcycle and, you know, there's some TVs. But, you know, it's kind of like the whole Clark Kent takes off his glass, or Superman puts on glasses and nobody can tell who he is, right? You know, it's like that idea that he's
hiding
so
in
much,
plain sight kind of thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I thought that was cool, and everything just seemed so intentional. That was the vibe that I got. You know, there were specific colors, like certain scenes isolated all the other colors except for this one in order to bring about this certain emotion, or, you know, things like that. So I liked that. I was talking to you guys about the score of it and how it was all based on that Nirvana song.
Yeah.
Those 2 chords just kind of like rocking back and forth, and there was no resolution to it. You know, like those having 2 chords, it creates this tension because you need to have that ability to go back to the 1 chord, and it just was never there. And so you were just kind of like sitting there, kind of almost like rocking back and forth. And there was this tension that was built so that you didn't have to rely on the plot or the cinematography or, you know, something like that to create the tension, the dialogue, or, you know, whatever, that you could have that just kind of like a heartbeat in the background, making you tense. Nolan did that with Dunkirk. He used this thing called a Shepard tone, and it basically sounds like it's increasing in pitch, even though it's not. It's taking like octaves and moving them up, and the lower ones are getting louder as the higher ones are getting softer. And you have this like, you like, and you didn't realize it until you go back and watch it. But that is, you feel your heart beating. You know, you're just like, you're starting to panic and hyperventilate, and it's just a musical trick that
the whole
figured out.
Yeah, the whole score to me felt like the Joker's theme from The Dark Knight. Where it's just like 1 chord, 1 thing that's continuously getting louder, and it wasn't the same, but it's the same type of idea. And I really liked that a lot. I honestly, there are some, and I will say this, Catwoman's theme sounds exactly like the Catwoman theme song from Batman Returns.
Oh, really?
And I loved that. I absolutely loved that. I thought it was a really cool nod musically to her, to Michelle Pfeiffer's performance and her character in Batman Returns. And there are a lot of Danny Elfman moments in the score, I think. More so than we've ever gotten in another Batman movie since those 2.
Lots of like sweeping strings. And, yeah.
So I thought very, very gothic feeling, which it harkens back in that sense to Danny Elfman's original score. Batman Returns was more operatic in that sense. It was a little more spooky operatic than the original score was. But this is a lot more like the '89 score. So, but Jeremy, were you finished? Did you have some more?
I agree with Chad. I think the Riddler was incredible. One of the best Batman characters that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
You know, like we've said, and a million people have said, there have been comparisons to Heath Ledger's Joker, and I think it's all valid.
Yep.
Paul Dano he went from being like some stupid kid in a bunch of like B movie teen movies, and then all of a sudden there will be blood, and you're like, what in the world? Where did this guy come from?
Yeah.
He was just in like, I think he was in that movie with it's called The Girl Next Door, where the girl next door was actually like a porn star or something like that.
Oh, is he in that movie?
I'm pretty sure it was somebody that looked like him. But it was like I saw that guy, and then the insane guy from There Will Be Blood. And so
I forgot he was in that. I forgot he was in There Will Be Blood. He was the preacher, right?
Yeah. I drink your milkshake.
And so I think this was in the same vein. This is Kevin Spacey from Seven. You know what I mean? Like, just absolutely unhinged, insane, in a scary way. Yep. And they made you feel that for sure.
Yeah. I agree. Paul Dano's performance in this was on par with Heath Ledger's Joker.
Without ever seeing his face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to act if no one ever sees your face.
Yeah, he was terrifying.
Yeah.
He was terrifying. And I'll say this, the scene in The Dark Knight where you first, like, for me, it was the first time where I realized, oh shoot, this guy's on a whole new level of this character, was the phone scene in The Dark Knight when he has the reporter kidnapped, and he says, "Look at me." That part, when in that moment, I remember I went to the midnight showing. It's back when those still happened. I did the midnight
happened, but they started like 7 or 8.
Yeah,
it's not a midnight showing,
right?
Just make it release on that day.
Yeah.
Right.
I went to the midnight showing. Jeremy, it's okay. Breathe.
I know.
It's all right. Oh,
I have a lot of feelings.
The counseling will be offered after this. No, but the whole theater, like, there was no more rustling. There was no more, you heard no popcorn, no drinking. You heard silence, dead silence. And leading up to that, there was a lot of, shuffling around, just normal theater noise. And it shut everybody up. And we were all just like, oh crap. and I didn't have that moment in this film with Paul Dano's character, but that tone of how Heath Ledger just got your attention and made you scared.
Mm-hmm.
That was the entire Riddler performance by Paul Dano in this movie.
Are we allowed to talk about when we first see him? Without,
I would rather not.
Okay.
I'd rather just let that be. We can, I'll say
in
this.
my mind, when we first see him, that is on par.
That was
it's not
fantastic.
the same. It's not the same thing. It wasn't him yelling at somebody.
Yeah,
but it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It set the tone for his whole character.
It was, and this, it was like watching a serial killer movie.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it was, especially when you first meet him. There is that serial killer moment where you're just like, oh shoot. But yeah, I would say his performance was great. Zoe Kravitz knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
As Catwoman, as Selena Kyle, you felt for her. She was emotionally vulnerable in the movie. You believed. You felt angry with her for the reasons that you'll find out when you watch the movie, that she's angry and that she's, doing what she's doing. Man, she was a standout role for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say, the one person that has kind of flown under the radar and I always forget his name. The guy that played Carmine Falcone.
John Turturro.
He was fantastic. He was fantastic in this. Chad,
Nope.
you're wrong.
No, I can't look at him seriously.
I loved him. I loved him in this because he's usually a goofy, silly.
He's Jesus.
Right, exactly.
From Lebowski.
And,
in the pink onesie or the purple onesie.
And in this, like, he almost took on, like, he was just calm and he just spoke like this the whole time.
He was trying too hard. I'm just like, I'm with Jeremy. He's Jesus.
Oh no, I thought he was great, but
everyone disagrees with you, Chad.
I was able to separate that, but I totally get it. Anytime I see him in anything, my first thought is no one messes with the Jesus.
That's how me personally, I'm coming from, like, I have huge respect. I'm gonna make Chad feel as bad as possible. I have a huge respect for comedic actors that put themselves on the line and that show up in these serious roles. Like, I'm thinking, like, and this is not the same comparison, but like Robin Williams, when he would do a serious role, I was always there for, even in 1 Hour Photo. I was always there for those performances because, like, that is such. First of all, comedic actors want so badly to be taken seriously, and even if they embrace the comedic role, but he did such a good job portraying a mob boss in this, and kind of a scary mob boss. I thought. I really enjoyed his performance a lot. But the thing that I was the most excited about, the thing that I loved, and I will say, this goes without saying, Robert Pattinson is a great Batman in this. He is a great Batman. Chad, again, is wrong. He's a great Batman. He was a good Bruce Wayne for what they. I mean, here's the thing. I've heard people be like, we even said,
how is this your number two if you hate all the characters?
Right. How do you hate the Batman in your...
I don't hate all the characters. I think for him, he was a very shallow Batman because the majority of his scenes, he's staring at people. You don't see him as
Batman
Bruce Wayne.
Does.
No,
Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton says like 4 words.
He was an emo
in his
Batman
movies.
No, he was an emo Batman. He just stood there with dark eyes and stared at people. And then as Bruce Wayne, you didn't see hardly any side of him as Bruce Wayne. You saw the detective part of him. You did not. You saw him standing there with Alfred a couple of times, and he had a few lines.
I disagree heavily. But that's not where I was going with this. I was going with Gotham City. Finally, we brought back Gotham City as a character in the Batman movies because that's the one thing I felt like Nolan completely missed. Gotham City was not a character in that. And I would even say especially in the Zack Snyder movies, as much as I love those movies, Gotham City is just like a backdrop. It's not even, there's nothing ominous about Gotham City in the Zack Snyder movies at all. And it kind of made me mad. I was like, this movie's great. Why isn't Gotham City more of a character like it is in the comics? And this movie brought that back because Gotham City, that's the one thing I would even say. I've said this many times. The best character arc from the Michael Keaton to the George Clooney Batman movies was Gotham City, and it was consistent. If you looked at the very beginning when Michael Keaton's first Batman movie, it was a rundown gothic, crap fest of a city. And then in Batman Returns, it still had that, but it also started adding more statuesque type buildings and more architecture that was more art-based and things like that. Then in Batman Forever,
like an Art Deco sort of.
Yeah, it even becomes even more so that. And then by the time you get to Batman and Robin, it is bright, festive, fun. Even the criminals look like they're having a party time in the streets. You know what I mean? Everybody's all in rave clothes and yeah.
That's the city's motto, actually.
And in this movie, Gotham felt I felt like I needed to take a shower watching the city. It was dirty, it was gross, it was grimy, and it looked like there were certain scenes that looked like if Batman wasn't present in the city would just eat everybody alive. It looked like it was like a monster that just haunted everyone in that city.
Which
And
is a
that
testament to the crew who put it all together, because it was shot
absolutely,
in 4 countries.
yeah, absolutely. It
Like,
is
it
so
wasn't
well.
they didn't take one city and
Yeah,
make it Gotham. They
yeah,
just like
because
pick and choose
Nolan's
things from. Yeah.
Batman trilogy, it was just Chicago. Like that's it was filmed in Chicago. They didn't really try to change anything. They did the train in the first one, and then you never saw it again. There was no real character aspect. The train was like the only character aspect of the city, and they got rid of it after the first one. Yeah, so it was I would say that was probably my most pleasant surprise of this movie was how they treated Gotham City. All right, we've only got a little bit of time left, so I want to jump into. We've kind of talked about characters and the actors that played them. Let's talk. Damien, you go first. What were your least favorite parts of the movie? We've already had some negativity, so I feel like now's the time.
To be sincere, my expectations were low because I've been
You hate Batman.
I've been burnt by Batman before. Got into a movie and then it just declines from there. I really didn't have a worst part. I think the only thing that I liked the least would be it did towards the end kind of be just drag a little, just a little, things usually, and maybe that's just like the way I see superhero movies, where things usually hit, that climax, and then there's the soft like landing. Where this
kind of like how in Return of the King it ended like 6 times.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Yeah.
Every time it did that, it was still indicative of the environment, and it was necessary for the story.
Yeah.
And so I can't say I hated it, but it was kind of like, all right, get to the point. Like, come on.
There was like a 5-minute period. We were talking about like keeping you invested and, keeping you in the story. There was a 5-minute period, I think, where I looked at my watch a couple of times. And it wasn't like when is this going to be over sort of situation, but it was like, how long have we been in here?
Yeah. Yeah. How much more movie do I have? Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times when you watch a movie or a TV show, especially, you can tell like, oh, they're about to go to the long commercial break. Right. You know what like in the pacing of the show, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of one of those things like where it felt like this was going to be the end, and then they like unfolded a different part of it, and it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I mean, I guess we got an hour left of this movie, so yeah.
Chad, what about you? Other than, of course, you hating the star of the film.
No, I didn't hate him. Part of that was an overreaction just to get on your nerves, but
of course it is.
I think for me, and this isn't a spoiler because it's in the commercial, but the part where he's like, "I'm vengeance," and he beats the guy up.
Yeah.
Like, when that actually happened in the movie, that was a big letdown for me because the commercial was so like action packed, and then and then when it was in the movie, I was like, "Oh, that was it? Like that's all he did?" Like, yeah, he beat up a couple guys before that, but it just wasn't as for me. But I felt like for him, and not to repeat myself, but I do feel like he was very flat when it came to Batman compared to the other Batman, because all the other Batman, you saw both Bruce Wayne and him and Batman together equally. Whereas I feel like in this movie, it was all Batman, which I get because that's the name of the movie, is the Batman. And you see more of him as the detective Batman. But the parts where he was Bruce Wayne, wasn't very impressive to me. And like I said before, it just seemed to like 90% of his time, he was either fighting someone or just standing staring at someone. Or, there was interaction with Catwoman. Absolutely. But it wasn't that compelling to me. Like for him as a character.
But like, that's not true though. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying is the like standing around not talking to anybody and being a detective, that's not the only thing. Like, we have him literally fighting for his life in a scene inside of a building somewhere. I can't say where because we can't do spoilers, but hopefully you're tracking with me.
You mean when the bomb goes off in his face and nothing happens to him?
No.
Is that the part you're talking about?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'm talking about
that was my least favorite part, by the way.
Yeah.
I was like, really? Okay. Moving on.
I guess what I'm saying is like that there were more things of him, like the scene. This was in the trailer, but of him like yelling at the Riddler after he's been captured, right? And trying to like get the information about like the next part of the clue because he can't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've run into, so he did that. In the police precinct. I know that was a spoiler. I was trying not to say that.
That's
but
not a spoiler. That's just
not a spoiler. No,
okay. That's in the trailer. They released a clip
really? Okay.
of him punching Gordon. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that whole scene, we've never seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
We've never seen him caught and police that hate him and want to kill him. I'm saying all those things together.
Yeah, we kind of saw the same. I'll get to mine in a minute. Go ahead.
That's all I'm saying. There was, I think there's more than what you gave credit for, and maybe you'll like it, or
perhaps
see
the second viewing
is that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, or is in order. I would say there were a couple things in the movie that I did not care for. One was just nitpicky stuff. I would say my biggest pet peeve is exposition that doesn't need to be there. Or at least that I don't think needs to be there. And my gosh, the clues, the riddles. I just felt like there were so many times whenever him and Gordon would find a clue or a riddle, and they would just like they would have to over explain what's actually happening. And it was literally like, we are seeing what you're saying on the screen. It's like when a comic book does that. Like when a comic decides to like narrate what you're already looking at in the art. That is a huge pet peeve of mine. I feel like that's kind of what they did with the clues. Stop showing everybody your butt. What are you doing? And so that was a big pet peeve of mine. Again, it wasn't huge, but I was like, it made me twitch. Another thing, after the first scene where his boots were just like, you heard him walking for like 25 minutes, it felt like that part, it happened multiple times throughout the movie, and I was like, all right, we get it. He's there. Like that I did kind of feel that way in those moments. I was just like, okay, yes, we know he's, and I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to build suspense. They're trying to make it, make the scene look like they hear him coming, and so they're scared of him, and that's fine. It just lasted a bit too long for me.
They were really a good, like legitimately like 15 seconds of footsteps.
They really,
expressions. I think it would have been better at like 7 or 8. Yeah, so
right.
I
it was more like a telenovela at that point. It was like,
click,
click, it really was. I was like, okay, all right, come on, where's the story? But I think my least favorite part of the movie was for the first half of the movie. I feel like it was just nods to previous Batman movies, especially Nolan's trilogy. There were so many moments where I was like, all right, I feel like they just lifted this directly from The Dark Knight and put it in here. And I was like, what? And then after the first half, the second half, it like took all those things and then solidified itself as its own.
Mm-hmm.
And on some level, that was cool storytelling to see. But on another level, I was like, this is kind of cheap a little bit, because it's like I feel like I've seen all these things before. I'm just seeing these like the almost exactly the same stuff, just with different people. And it didn't happen throughout the whole movie. Like I said, especially the second half was very much its own. But the first half, there were quite a few moments where I was just like, huh, that's like almost plagiarism. And if it weren't done by the same company, but anyway, I think those were my least favorite parts. But no performances were my least favorite part. I really I thought everybody in the movie knocked it out of the park,
including Colin Farrell.
Yes, I was gonna say, including Colin Farrell. That man's Penguin is going places. He is, my gosh, he is fantastic in this movie.
And I loved the little hint in the prosthetic, the way that his nose has that like divot in it, and it kind of comes forward. Like, it's just enough. It's not freaking Danny DeVito, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the severe point. Yeah,
it's not like some chimera of a penguin and a human.
Yeah,
but it was just enough so that like, this is Penguin.
Yeah,
and you would if you didn't know that he was in it, you never would have guessed that was Colin Farrell. Like, it was just insane.
Yeah, he absolutely disappears into the role.
It was funny
everything.
When he was tied up and he waddled, he kind of looked like a penguin.
I know.
It was so awesome.
Yeah. There is a part, the part that Chad's referencing, that was one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. I hope we see more of Colin Farrell in the future as the Penguin. I think he will be a wonderful, just annoying comedic presence that is, ends up being a lot of fun and in the classic Penguin style. So all right, guys, to wrap it up, Jeremy, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Give it your overall rating, 1 out of 10. What do you got?
I think 8.
Yeah.
8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
8.5, something like that.
Sweet. Damien, what about you?
I'd go 10.
Wow.
10,
all right.
Because I really think that it's I'm a Marvel guy. I'm not a big DC guy. I'm not a Batman fan. I like him. This makes me want to see the sequel. This makes me want to see how he's going to interact with the other characters.
Yeah.
That's why I say 10.
All right. Chad.
Despite my comments about Robert Pattinson, I would say a 9.
Oh, wow. All right. Very generous. All right. I would say 8 out of 10. It was a very good, very compelling movie. And you should absolutely go see it in theaters, on the biggest screen that you possibly could. It is a gorgeous film. They did a great job. So that's it. Sorry, we're not really doing a whole lot with the comments tonight, guys. Like I said, we're trying to get out of here within an hour or so. With that being said, go see The Batman. It just came out. It is a great movie. And when you do see it, let us know. Shoot us a message on the Dash Dingo's Facebook page and let us know what you thought, and include spoilers there. Just don't do it out in the open so that we can, care for our friends that have not seen it yet. All right, we're going to go around the room and once again, let everyone know, where they can find you and why you're so splendiferously amazing. Jeremy.
I'm in my basement. Every time.
All right. Okay. Damien.
Don't look at me. Scan that. Don't look at me. All my stuff's there.
Fantastic. 5. Oh.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, go.
And Chadwick.
TheSilenceComics.com.
Awesome.
That's all you need
and BrianRobin.com is where you can follow all of my shenanigans as well. And that's it for us tonight, folks. Thank you all for showing up in the comment section. And we absolutely enjoyed it. We love talking about this movie. It was great. I wish we could have done a spoilery review because there are a lot of things I would rather say specifically. But
no, it's so hard.
I know, but go see the movie. It is great. It's fantastic. Next week, Chad, what we got going on?
I haven't looked at the list lately. I think it is our favorite creators discussion about our favorite
that's going to be a good show. All right, sweet. Tune in next week We're going to be talking about our favorite creators. Think about who your favorite creator is, and bring it to the comments section. Next week, we will be back in the comments section as usual. And bring your friends, folks. But thank you once again. Remember to like this video and hit that bell to be notified when future episodes come up. And as always, kids, have fun, be safe, and don't do drugs. But if you do
good ones.
Dad. Or that. Call Chad because his kids are working really hard. All right, everybody. You have a fantastic evening, and we will see you next week. Bye.
How you doing, Mr. Vengeance?
Hello.